Look at the landscape surrounding Alice Springs. The town sits inside a vast, remote basin, boxed in by ancient mountain ranges and endless stretches of unforgiving desert. When someone goes missing out here, the geography itself becomes an immediate threat. In the early hours of April 26, 2026, a 5-year-old girl disappeared from the Old Timers town camp. For cultural reasons following her death, her family has asked that she be referred to by the name Kumanjayi Little Baby. Northern Territory Police rapidly initiated a massive search protocol. Emergency personnel and volunteers scoured the dirt roads and bushland on foot, while search helicopters and 4-wheel drive vehicles tried to cover the immense, jagged terrain. But detectives quickly realized they were looking for 2 people. A 47-year-old man named Jefferson Lewis had disappeared at almost exactly the same time. Finding a wandering child in the outback is difficult enough, but the simultaneous absence of an adult suspect meant investigators were now racing against a completely different kind of danger. For 5 days, the search perimeter pushed outward. Teams moved from the immediate vicinity of the town camps into the sprawling, unpopulated bushland outside the city limits. In the dry bed of the Todd River, searchers located discarded clothing and other items. A crime scene was established immediately, and the focus of the operation shifted toward the river's surroundings. On April 30th, police located the body of Kumanjayi Little Baby 5 kilometers south of the town camp. The missing person search had ended in tragedy. The strategy immediately pivoted to a homicide manhunt for Jefferson Lewis. Police began investigating whether he was receiving assistance from anyone while navigating the dense bush to avoid capture. The focus was no longer on saving the little girl. It was entirely centered on tracking down the primary suspect before he could disappear permanently into the outback. That same afternoon, police received a tip. Someone had spotted Lewis near the Charles Creek town camp, prompting officers to converge on the area. But members of the community found him first. Overcome by grief and anger, locals confronted and assaulted the suspect, demanding traditional cultural payback before the authorities could safely secure him. The situation escalated rapidly into a major crisis. When police and paramedics brought Lewis to Alice Springs Hospital for treatment, they were met by a massive, volatile crowd, forcing officers to deploy riot gear to maintain control of the building. To defuse the immediate threat of further violence, police extracted Lewis from the desert entirely. He was flown 1,500 kilometers north to the coastal city of Darwin. On May 3rd, the Northern Territory Police formally charged Jefferson Lewis with murder, along with 2 other serious offenses that remain legally suppressed from public record. It is a foundational legal principle that a charge is an accusation. Lewis maintains the presumption of innocence, and it will be up to the court system to test the evidence collected from the riverbed and the surrounding desert. The intense 5-day manhunt dominated national headlines, but to understand the full scope of this tragedy, we have to look past the week of the disappearance and examine the years leading up to it. If we look at this timeline of events, April 25th marks the night she went missing, but long before this date, Child Protection Authorities had already received multiple official notifications regarding the safety of the young girl's family. Following her death, the Northern Territory government drafted a review into the timeline of her life. The report identified serious, documented shortcomings in how authorities responded to severe domestic violence risks, specifically affecting the child's mother. However, the review drew a hard line between those bureaucratic failures and the crime itself. While it acknowledged that the safety net failed to protect a vulnerable family, investigators found no direct causal link between those administrative shortcomings and the specific act of murder. While the government failed to respond to the specific domestic violence notifications in the child's file, the criminal responsibility for the night of April 25 rests solely with the accused. The justice system will ultimately deal with the events of that final week, but for the family mourning Kumanjayi Little Baby, the tragedy is rooted in the fact that the authorities had the chance to intervene long before a massive police search was ever required.